At 46, Craig Melvin has finally spoken openly about Savannah Guthrie. And what he revealed about her bond with her mother, Nancy, reframes this entire disappearance. I never imagined Craig would be the one to say it plainly. Not in this moment, not while every lens in America remains fixed on Savannah and the vacant house in Tucson's Catalina foothills. Yet on Sunday, February 8th, 2026, something changed. Craig did not make an announcement on the Today Show. He did not sit down with another network, nor did he post a lengthy statement online. Instead, he spoke privately to 4 longtime colleagues, people who have worked beside him and Savannah for years. Phones were removed from the room. No recordings were made. The conversation began at 2:17 p.m. Eastern and lasted nearly 2 hours. Late that night, at 11:42 p.m., one of those present contacted me and said, "You need to hear what Craig shared." Not because it was gossip or rumor, but because it filled in the missing explanation for why Savannah is navigating this crisis the way she is. After listening to a detailed retelling that stretched close to an hour, I understood why Craig, usually calm, affable, quick with humor, felt compelled to speak. What he described was not about television roles or newsroom politics. It was about the invisible cord that has bound Savannah to her mother, Nancy, for 46 years. According to Craig, that same bond is what keeps Savannah standing right now. And what may also be tightening around her as the days without Nancy stretch into a second week. Craig began quietly. He said he has sat beside Savannah nearly every weekday morning for years. He has watched her laugh through exhaustion, cry during breaking news, and smile through private hardships that would overwhelm most people. But he said he has never seen her look the way she does now. He was not referring to tears or fatigue. He meant something deeper. In his view, she is moving through this ordeal as though she is still seeking her mother's approval. Even with Nancy taken from her own home, even with blood on the porch and ransom demands involving Bitcoin, Savannah still seems to believe she must prove she is strong enough and capable enough to fix it. And if she cannot, she will have failed the most important test of her life. When someone in the room asked if this truly centered on Nancy, Craig answered immediately, "It always has." Even without a call, a text, or a word of encouragement, Savannah continues to hear her mother's voice. And that voice, he said, has always carried the same message. You can do better. You must do better, and you are not permitted to fall apart. He shared a story from Savannah's early 20s. At 22, fresh from the University of Arizona, she was offered an entry-level job at a small Tucson station. Her dream at the time. When she told Nancy, the response was measured but firm. The job was nice, Nancy reportedly said, but Savannah was going to law school. She was not going to waste her intellect covering city council meetings. She was destined for something bigger. Savannah declined the job, attended law school, practiced law, then transitioned into journalism, eventually becoming a network correspondent and co-anchor of the Today Show. She never framed the story as resentment. She described it as evidence that her mother loved her enough to demand more. Yet Craig noticed pride mixed with fear in her expression, fear that slowing down or admitting exhaustion might cause love to vanish. Craig believes that dynamic is unfolding now. Savannah may be terrified that if she breaks publicly, her mother, wherever she is, will somehow know and feel disappointed. Even if Nancy is ill or restrained or without medication, Savannah might still imagine being evaluated. Craig said the February 7th video, when Savannah declared, "We will pay," crystallized it for him. Her voice was steady, almost clinical. She sounded as though she were reading legal terms rather than pleading for her mother's life. Nancy, Craig suggested, had instilled the idea that vulnerability equals weakness. You state your offer. You hold your posture. You do not crumble. He added that Savannah may fear that crying too hard or collapsing publicly would provoke a silent judgment. I raised her stronger than that. When asked whether Nancy would truly feel that way, Craig answered thoughtfully. He believes Nancy's love is deep and real, but expectation and affection were intertwined so tightly that Savannah never learned to separate them. The fear of disappointing her mother, even now, remains powerful. Craig recalled another moment after Savannah returned from maternity leave following her second child. She appeared exhausted. When he asked how she was, she replied with a bright smile that her mother had called to say she looked strong on air. That affirmation sustained her. Craig observed that in their relationship, approval functioned like oxygen. He tied it back to the present. Savannah is striving to earn reassurance from someone who cannot currently give it. She is attempting to solve the crisis flawlessly while maintaining composure, because that is what she believes Nancy expects. If the unthinkable happens, Craig fears Savannah will not only grieve, she will believe she failed. He went further, explaining that this pattern shapes everything. The timing of public statements, the structure of the February 4th video, the deliberate pacing. Nancy taught her never to speak until she had something concrete to say. Never reveal panic. In the first video, Savannah thanked supporters, described her mother's character, acknowledged ransom reports, and only then addressed the captor. That order reflected discipline, not impulse. In the second video, when she said, "We will pay," Craig felt a chill. The delivery was controlled, deliberate, final. To him, it reflected lifelong training not to surrender control to emotion. He shared another anecdote from the pandemic years. During a stressful week marked by declining ratings and family strain, Savannah admitted exhaustion to him, but told her mother only about a ratings high. Nancy preferred victories to struggles. Savannah learned to curate her life accordingly. Craig believes Savannah is now editing again, showing composure publicly while concealing terror privately. When asked whether Nancy realized the pressure she created, Craig said he believes Nancy intended to fortify her daughter against a harsh world. The result was success and resilience, but also an inability to stop performing. He contrasted this with Savannah's parenting of her daughters, Vale and Charlie. With them, she is softer, allowing tears and imperfection. Craig now sees that as intentional correction. She is giving her children the unconditional space she may not have felt herself. He concluded with a sobering thought. If Nancy returns, Savannah may still struggle to stop proving herself. If Nancy does not return, Savannah may internalize a verdict of failure. Craig insisted he was not speaking to harm her reputation, but to illuminate what he has observed for years. She carries the burden of this abduction and decades of expectation simultaneously. As the 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time deadline approaches, uncertainty looms. Whether a wallet address will come, proof of life, silence, or resolution. Craig wanted one thing understood before the next headline. Savannah is fighting not only for her mother's life, but for the validation she has pursued since childhood. He asked those present not to sensationalize his words. His plea was simple. See her fully. Not just the composed anchor, but the child who still believes love must be earned. Now, as February 9th, 2026 unfolds, and the deadline nears, Savannah waits for answers from whoever took Nancy. But she is also waiting for relief from the voice inside her that has shaped her since girlhood. Craig decided the public should understand that voice. So tonight, wherever you are, say Nancy's name again. Hope. Pray. And if Nancy returns, when she returns, perhaps Savannah can finally receive something she has rarely granted herself. Permission to stop striving. Permission to rest. Permission to be loved without condition. Permission to let the mask fall. And permission, at last, to simply be.